Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. We're beginning our season previews for 2026. So it's changed to November. We're recording this on Friday, the 7th of November for uno-x, but largely they are full. We are assuming they're going to be a World Tour team. They have 29 riders on the roster for 2026, and we're going to get into a recap of their 2025 season, their transfers. How are they going to fare if they do get a World Tour license? What we think they should do in the various big races, and then, of course, inaccurate predictions of their total World Tour victories. What is this team, Benji? What is their philosophy? Who are they?
Well, so uno-x Pro Cycling is a team that has a very Scandinavian focus. Norwegian sponsor, Norwegian-Danish riders. They haven't ventured into Sweden yet, but my knowledge on Scandinavia is not in-depth enough to know which countries in Northern Europe fit within the Scandinavian culture and which do not. So I will not name any other countries there, but let's just say that has been their focus so far, and seemingly is their focus for the next year at least, and we'll see whether that develops as they grow as a team. But we got to talk about 2025. So the last season of uno-x Pro Cycling, they've grown throughout the last couple of years from being, I think they started as a Conti team, eventually became a pro team, became one of the top pro teams, and then they suddenly had a chance of becoming a World Tour team. They didn't actually get in the top 18 of World Tour, of top 18 of UCI points in 2025. But they got a chance partially because Lotto and Intermarché came together and so forth. But we'll get into the details in a second. Between 2024 and 2025, there was a managerial shift. We saw the dev team disappearing. We saw the manager being replaced, Jens Haugland, with Thor Hushoft. Thor Hushoft, who came on board in, I think, February 2024 and was kind of apprenticed into that role by Jens Haugland, and by the end of that year had taken over that role completely. Now, before we jump into the actual results, Patrick, what do you think, in your thought process, were uno-x's chances at the start of 2025 to become a World Tour team at the end of 2025?
At the start of 2025, maybe 10%, 15%. And then at the start of 2024, I thought it was like 1%. Also the same for the Rockets getting a Tour de France invite next year. I thought it was 1%. So many different things had to happen. The explosion of Oscar Onley, the collapse of Arkea, the merger of two other teams, the disintegration of Cofidis.
Extra wildcard.
An extra wildcard being added in the first place. So many different things had to come together. I think they didn't really expect at the start of 2025 even to become a World Tour team, but it happened. Well, at least on sporting merit, they look like they will get the license. Does it come too early? Did they need a World Tour license?
Ooh, I would say not necessarily they needed it, because they were starting to become one of those teams that was hammered in at the top of the pro team division. And if you don't know, being a top 2 team in previous years, now top 3 team in the pro team division, means you get automatic wildcards to basically any World Tour race you can want, with the added bonus that you don't need to ride all of them, unlike World Tour teams. So if your team is not ready to do an entire World Tour calendar, that is the ideal spot to be in. But let's just say that they don't necessarily have a choice anymore in the future, because their results in 2025 were pretty good. Pretty good, I would say. Like, first you got the smaller races. Magnus Kort dominating Gran Camino. Anders Halland Johannessen winning Tour of Slovenia. Did not expect that. Søren Warenskjold winning Little Deutschland Tour plus 2 stages. A stage at Bessèges as well. Frederik Dversen is winning Veneto Classic, and a couple of other ones I'm glossing over here because those are the quote-unquote smaller races on their results page. But their bigger victories and bigger results are not to be joked about. Søren Warenskjold again won Omloop at Nieuwsblad, a rather passive edition, but it's still winning Omloop. Like, it's still a nice victory against some pretty good versatile sprinters. Magnus Kort getting 6th at Milano Sanremo. I feel like Kort has been in this position where over the last couple of years, I always felt like he was not necessarily great at one-day races. He was always good at breakaway staging, Grand Tours and stuff like that, but he does have decent one-day race results this year. Also second at Eschborn Frankfurt. Christoph getting fourth at Gent-Wevelgem. Those are UCI points. Erlen Blikra getting fifth at Brugge de Panne. Then again, that race was mostly dictated by the crashes. But then in stage races, the most important factor happened, Patrick. Frederik Versnes. Did you know who this guy was before 2025?
Yeah, because he was really strong on a Conti team.
Yeah.
In like Arctic race or something.
That's fair. I'd say that mainstream public probably had no clue who this guy was one of the riders on uno-x and so forth. Won stage 5 of Tirreno. Holland Johannesson was a big step forward, I would say, from being a rider that could fight for a stage victory at a Grand Tour to going 5th at the Dauphiné, 5th in GC at the Tour de France. uno-x, a pro team getting a top 5 at the Tour de France. Fantastic result. Jonas Abrahamsen winning stage as well. Maybe we are... Was he 6th? Damn it. Mine... First team preview, and the notes are wrong. I'm not doing very well.
But that's...
Did we?
He had kind of plateaued, or maybe... I don't really remember what he did in 2024, but then he was way better this year. And not just him, his brother. His brother won a Dot Pro GC in Slovenia. So I think this is a team that does suit having a World Tour license in that Tudor and Q365 are not far behind them in UCI points. So do they...
Yeah.
You can change how you approach a year. This team wants to target Tour de France GC and Tour de France stages. It wants to target big classics. If you're in a dogfight every year with Tudor, Q365 and another team, by the way, Tudor were like within 1,000 points of them this year in the annual ranking. You can't do that as well. Then you have to say, oh, okay, well, we can't commit everything on the big goals because we need points every year. 3-year license, you can have more of a long-term view. And I think that's what, as you said, these are quality wins. A lot of even the non-World Tour races are quality wins.
And maybe we glossed over Jonas Abrahamsen a little bit in our breakaway award because he deserved at least a mention, I think, in our cycling award show. He got a stage win at the Tour de France this year as well from the breakaway. So in total, a year where they have 23 victories in total, 3 World Tour victories. That's compared to 26 in total and 1 World Tour victory last year. So I think you hammered the point home. These are more quality victories. Like, there's bigger wins on the board here, not just from their best riders, but also Versnes, who stepped up from his level and ended up winning a Tirreno stage from a breakaway. So that's really, really well delivered. And as a consequence of that, they came into P19 in the World Tour ranking, in the UCI points ranking. As a consequence, they are being promoted to World Tour in 2026, or at least they have the ability of getting a World Tour license. The official awarding has not happened, but what does that mean, becoming World Tour? We hinted at it already, but walk the people through it.
Yeah, they have to do every World Tour race but one every year. They then have to send riders to Romandy that they might not have. Well, they got to send a team to Catalunya. Can they compete in sprints in Catalunya when they also have the classics on? So you need a deeper roster. But do you? I think this question's kind of overblown. It's going to be asked of them, but aren't there a lot of very limited World Tour teams who also can't field 2 strong teams simultaneously for like a climbing race and some classics? Like
Arkea?
Like Bahrain? Like FDJ? Like...
That's also valid.
A lot of teams. It's... So what? During the classics, they got good depth, and then at Catalunya, they send Johannesson.
Yes, but Johannesson can't do every single World Tour stage race
He can't do Tirreno, he can't do Catalunya, Basque, Romandy, he can't do all of them. I get, yeah.
Well, he can, but I don't think he'll be alive at the end of the year.
What are the 2 GC riders Alpecin send to Paris and Tirreno every year?
Luca Vergalito, my friend, come on.
So maybe it's better to just actually win some races with your good riders.
I think that's very fair. I do think they are in a position when it comes to their roster. We'll go into the transfers in a second, but if we already just judge the roster they already had at the end of 2025, then I look at a team which is okay, I expect this team to compete for the last couple of positions in WorldTour if they remain this roster over the last 3 years. Because if you look at their team, they've got Tobias Halland Johannessen. Yes, he got 6th at the Tour de France, 5th at Dauphiné. But do you believe in a yearly repeatability of that result? Because it depends on that as well, eh? Can they repeat this season every single one of the next 3 years? Can Warren Skold win a classic like Omloop every year? I don't think so.
No, with Halland Johannessen, he's very fragile. I think he's out with a fractured collarbone, although the season's over. But it's not like he's been a model of consistency. In 2023, he was very, very good. But then in 2024, can't recall what happened. Yeah, I just don't recall what happened in 2024. He didn't race that much before the Tour.
I could be wrong, but I think Johannessen had the same injury.
Right. So yeah, will he repeat 6th in the Tour and top 5 in the Dauphiné? Probably not, but can he do even better on, I don't know, or consistent results in Catalunya, Romandy? Probably. So
yeah,
they do have a quality GC rider in him. I look through the rest of the roster, and I guess Christoph is a loss, but they have a little mini Christoph being developed. They've got Zacharias Koller Lowland. He just won Veneto Classic. So they have all these random guys that can actually sprint, can get a result here and there, can pad top 10s. So yeah, although I say that, and so I've done a big spiel about how their depth is okay. I couldn't tell you who the bottom 13 of these riders are.
I think that's fair. But can he do that with Cofidis?
Yes, probably because I'm more familiar with them from World Tour racing.
Okay. Nah, fair. I think I've got a... Yeah, I agree. When I look at the roster at the end of 2025, I look at a roster that I'm like, okay, this is a top pro team level roster. I'll be honest about that. The question is, can they change that in their transfer for next season? But before we get into the transfers, a simple question. How would you rate uno-x's 2025 season? I think we hinted at it already. They are promoting to WorldTour, so we probably won't be too negative, but
10 out
how
of 10.
much were they helped? Okay. Full on 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10. Top 10 in the Tour GC, won a Belgian World Tour Classic on opening weekend, won a Tour stage, got promoted. It could not be better. What could they have done better?
I fully agree with you, and the reason that I agree with you is, even if they were not promoted to World Tour, they would still be in a great position.
Yeah.
Would have been a top-level pro team, would have automatic wildcards for next season. So the promotion is on top of that to me. So I agree. Perfect season for uno-x Pro Cycling. I've seen a couple of clips of I think, the Johannessen brothers singing on a stage at some gala party at uno-x the other day, and then there was
Leknesson doing the yo-yo thing. That was crazy.
Yeah. That guy's actually good at it as well. It was crazy. I wouldn't say Johannessens were that good at singing, but that's just my opinion. Let's jump into the transfers, Patrick. Leaving the team. Alexander Kristoff retiring. Amund Grøndal Jansen, the old phenom from Jumbo-Visma back in the day. Was it a lead-out rider there? He's going to question mark, so we don't know. Rasmus Beug-Walen goes to Team Cranks, which I assume is either a Conti level or club level team. I assume club level because I've never heard of it. And Magnus Kulsid is, I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's not going to be part of uno-x most likely, I would say. So those are the four departing. I think we should already mention the incoming riders and then compare to each other, but Sven-Erik Byström joins from Groupama FDG. He's a bit older now, and we'll judge his transfer in a second. Alexander Kamp from Intermarché Wanty. Anton Charmich returns from SDX Astana. We've got Martin Chotta from Arkea B&B Hotels. Storm Ingebrigtsen, the dude that won the first stage of Norway, comes from Coop Repsol. And Tobias Schwarre from Colo Quick. Initial thoughts, Patrick. Incoming versus outcoming.
I think Christoph is better than all those riders. Even now, he nearly won in Stavanger again, but he is he's retiring. So what are you supposed to do? He's also declining quite clearly. So they didn't. I think it's good they let him go before they did another year where he declines again, and they bring in some younger guys. Sharmig was unbelievably good in the back half of the year. Like in Canada, he was so good. Was he the guy who was in like a contract dispute with them, where he thought they should pay him more, and then they didn't, and then he tested the market. The market also agreed that he shouldn't be paid more, and then he had to take a late deal with Astana.
I don't remember.
I
Genuinely.
think the fact of their transfer policy, they only sign Scandinavians. It forces them to mend bridges with riders who maybe left on not so good terms, because they're like, we need you. So sorry about what happened in the past, but we have a very limited pool of riders we can sign. Chotta's good. He's like a young, well, he's not that young, but he was pretty good actually in for Archaea this year. I was quite impressed with him, so that's fine signing. I don't know Svare at all. And Ingebrigtsen, yeah, he won a pro race. And then Bistrom, did you know he top 10 Arctic race at Norway?
Wow. I'm sorry, but when I look at
if he was Australian, he'd be a real estate agent now.
I agree with you. Like, if I look at these transfers, I'm not sold. I'm not sold at all, because Bistrom and Chotta, I remember discussing these two transfers with the management of uno-x 2.5, 3 years ago as potential signings for the team. Signing Bistrom now, I don't see any value for that. And especially because he's not going to come cheap either. Like, he's still a rider where that has the amount of time in WorldTour to the point that you just can't give him minimum salary, you know? So Bistrom's definitely on, if I had to assume, 250, 300k. Alexander Kamp, coming from Intermarché, kind of has been, in my opinion. I don't really feel it anymore when it comes to Alexander Kamp. I don't vividly remember any results this year either, so it's more a rider that I just thought of. 80% of these transfers, I know it's difficult to count 80% of 6 riders, but 80% of the transfers are transfers where I'm thinking, okay, the only reason they were signed is because of uno-x's focus on Scandinavian riders. Because otherwise, they would never sign these riders. And that includes, in my opinion, Bistrom, Kamp. I think Ingebrigtsen is a valuable transfer. I think Charmik and Chotta, yes, you could argue that they deserve a position in this team, but they're also not, we should go to jump on these riders imminently. Svare, I look at his results, I don't really feel it. I hope they did their homework, and I hope I'm wrong on that. But I
think the criticism is there's better Danish and Norwegian riders out there.
On the market too?
Foldager.
True.
Foldager is a good, like, I would rather sign Foldager than Alexander Kamp, rinse and repeating him, getting top 20 in Amstel, and then not being a professional level rider for the rest of the year.
Does Torsten Tran have a contract for next year?
No. Tran was available. What about Alexander Solby as another, like, a sprint option for flat races? Pardon?
Yeah, Conti level sprinter, right?
Yeah, he's won like 10 races this year. I know they're in Asia, but still.
You gotta have yourself a bit of a Maresh. Go, come on.
Yeah, but is going to add like more value that you can actually compete in some sprints here and there. I mean, the Nicholas Larsen. Why are the Rockets getting Larsen and not them? He's right there.
Yeah. I agree. There's better riders from Scandinavia that are missing out on them. And this is something we've mentioned in the past as well, eh? Like, even when it comes to the youngsters, we saw numerous youngsters going to the Visma Dev team, to other Dev teams, to other teams, and to other WorldTour teams as well, that were like, ooh, I'm surprised they didn't go to uno-x. I've got that feeling again when I look at these transfers. I think we're talking about these transfers a lot, but at the end of the day, I look at the leaving transfers and the incoming transfers, and I see barely any difference, keeping in mind that Christophe was coming to the point where he wasn't going to be bringing much value compared to the salary they're putting into him over the coming years. So this is a almost break-even situation for me, minus the stardom of Christophe.
Yeah, money-wise, they're cheap transfers too, for the most part, I think. But yeah, there's just a few other, particularly Danish riders that I think like Mads Lambo, he's better than Sverre, I think.
Do we
In terms of general results. What about Norwegians?
do we see future transfers, as in 2027, that they could be saving money for? Because Skelmose was set to be out of contract at the end of 2026. Did he now extend that? I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, he's rumored to have extended.
Kind of surprising following the interviews I heard from Skelmose in the last couple of weeks, but when it comes is it realistic to have him as Pedersen on the team?
Wouldn't that have been like a priority transfer if you want to increase your GC depth?
I agree with you. Yeah. Then again, if you're Svested Bartsing and you get a contractor offer from Ineos versus uno-x, who would you pick?
Depends what you want. Depends what you want.
Exactly, because on uno-x he'll get more opportunities and probably more money, because uno-x has to pay extra because they're Scandinavian for Scandinavian riders.
Yeah, but you get taxed. So I don't know, but yeah, it's there was maybe some better options, and the thing is though, just because they have to sign Scandinavians doesn't mean every Scandinavian has to pick uno-x. They also have free will to choose where they want to go, so it's doubly difficult for them. But yeah, I think I'm not seeing a whole lot of wins coming in those incoming transfers.
No. It is possible that hypothetically someone like an Ingebrigtsen becomes better, levels up, and gets into the potential Dversnes spot. That's not completely impossible here, but I don't see that with Bistrom, Kamp, and Charmig, and Chota, and Sverre as much as I see it with potentially Ingebrigtsen. But overall, I think we've had our discussion when it comes to the transfers. Now, we've spoken about the Scandinavian focus limiting their potential and so forth, but you've judged it earlier. Is uno-x Pro Cycling ready for World Tour? We've had this discussion in this podcast, but if we now look at individual races and we look at the classics, for example, the Giro, the Tour de France, the Vuelta versus 1.1 races versus the 1 week races, which races should be the focus and how should they focus on UCI points versus trying to be at the best races?
Because that's the problem, right? Because if you then send all your best riders to the hardest races and then they don't get, it's harder to get results. And then they send the back half of the roster to the farming races, which they've mostly been doing, then you can quickly get into a not so good season. So for example, so Abrahamson, I think they'll still do a mix. He did Sanremo, E3, Gaan-Wevelgem, Dwars-Door, Tour of Flanders, Roubaix. He still did Morbihan, Trobro, Gijs-de-Pijl, Brussels Classic, Dwars-Door, Het Hageland. And then after the Tour de France, he still did a mix of Dot Pro and World Tour Classics.
Do they then potentially skip a Lula Tour, for example?
Yes, although they might. Yeah, but then I think they'll still do races like that with Coolset.
Yeah.
I don't think to start and end of the year is their problem. I think April is their problem. I think March is their problem, maybe. When you have to do Frankfurt, Romandy, you've got guys preparing for other races, you've just had guys doing the classics. I think they have a problem, maybe, but yeah, I don't. I think a lot of teams have these issues, so it's not just them.
I think that's fair to say.
What's their AA Classics lineup?
Their AA Classics lineup definitely includes Søren Kragh Andersen. No, Søren Weidenskjold. Definitely not Søren Kragh Andersen unless they can mercenary him out of Little Trek. Not yet. That's for sure. Jonas Abrahamsen is part of that, I would definitely say. I'm trying to open up the page as we speak.
Bistrom as a domestique.
Depends on the classics.
Tiller.
Yes.
Hulgaard. Fredheim. Zacharias Lowland.
I think we're almost there, to be honest. And then it depends, like Magnus Kort goes to an MSR, Blikra goes to maybe a flatter one.
Yeah.
Without cobbles. It's kind of that division of what your AA team is versus what you adapt with when you go to the other ones throughout.
Do you think
Are
they should
dense?
send? So, do you think they should send Coolset and Halter to World Tour stage races to try to top 10, or stay on Oman, Saudi, those sort of races?
I don't think Kulset can top 10 a Romandy yet. He did 9th at Burgos, which is a good result, but I still expect an average World Tour top 10 to be a slightly higher competition. Otherwise, you also don't see Naliotti going to Tour de Romandy and Catalunya to top 10 a World Tour stage race there, because he most likely won't be able to. So I'm leaning towards I don't think they can do it at World Tour in that sense yet.
Probably not, and then it's best to keep them on a minor calendar. We have to mention, of course, Andreas Krohn, who's only 27. He had a down year last year, and he only came back late this year. When he did race, he was pretty good. Turkey, he was good straight away, but then actually he was 12th in San Sebastian, 14th in the Danish National Champs, but then after Burgos, he abandoned on Laguna Stanaya and hasn't raced since, so only 28 race days for him. So I'm not sure what to expect of him next year. But yeah, there is kind of a depth problem in that they have a lot of really, really big guys who aren't sprinters, who actually can't get around most classics. And yeah.
I do think that there's also, like you said, with the likes of Kroon, potential to perform better than 2025 for those individual riders. So yes, there's depth problems, but there's also potential problems that certain riders do better than necessarily in 2025. So I think that counts each other a little bit. But I think the overall focus is, once again, go to, is there a way where they could kind of counter the top level World Tour teams by just applying different kind of peaks throughout their season when it comes to the riders? So for example, Weidenskjold, he should be focusing on being at his best in the opening weekend versus being at his best at Roubaix when all the other top World Tour pros are trying to hunt for the Roubaix victory. Because then he's fighting against the competition that is slightly undercooked, that is trying to focus on the other classics and therefore is not at their best yet, while he could be at his best and once again potentially repeat a nominal victory if the race is once again quite passive, because that's obviously something that hasn't happened every year so far. And then I'm wondering, is that available to do for the rest of the season? That's where I struggle. I think it's harder to see that when it comes to Grand Tours, etc., you know?
I think, what you're saying in particular applies to, say, look at the Milan-San Remo GP Denain combination. I would not put all their best riders in San Remo still. Court's their best chance for a result. Have a few guys helping him, but Varensgold still needs to do Denain because he's just not getting over the Cipressa, I don't think, or even so. Yeah, I would. They're gonna have to do it really in a really, really smart way, because like they have what, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they got like 6 good riders really. Varensgold, Tobias Johannesson, Abrahamsen, and then the other Johannesson, Coolset and Court. And in terms of like actual World Tour, they got,
I would say.
Pardon?
I would say 6 to 8, because you've got Lurland being on the brings.
No, but I mean for like World Tour, they got 4.
Yeah.
Court, Varensgold, Abrahamsen, Johannesson. But other guys might improve.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's always going to be a combination of one races, especially in the last part of the season. Like the Belgian ChatGPT races, you're going to see Tiller at Antwerp Port Epic. Those kind of vibes. So
yeah.
I expect
they'll still
that.
do those races.
And I also expect to see Johannesson perhaps at more than one Grand Tour, because they have little choice to do so. Well, especially because I have 2 Johannessons, but I mean, the individual Tobias Johannesson wouldn't shock me if he does Tour Vuelta or Giro Tour, where one he could go for stages, where the other he goes for GC. That's a possibility.
And did Leckerson top 10 the Giro?
Not last year, right? did Uno-X ride the Giro?
Yeah, Leknesson came 8th in the Giro in 2023.
2023, yeah, you're right. But I thought you meant this year.
So there you go.
Haven't seen that Leknesson in a while, though. We've seen him in like Hill Classics territory, but top 10 in Grand Tour level, I have not seen him.
Well, and again, he was a helper in the Dauphiné. He was
True.
really, and the Tour de France for Tobias Hallen Johannesson. So do they need to split him more?
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you split them more, then it might negatively impact the top level results of the rider you're taking him away from. So it's always a bit of a, it's always not as easy.
I think they're going to focus on...
What is the overall conclusion?
They're going to focus on the same stuff. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to make sure their best riders peak for the biggest races, which is the monuments, which they can actually compete in, and the Tour de France for Tobias Hallen Johannesson, and to win in it from a breakaway. That doesn't change. I do miss another sprinter with Christoph going. Christoph gave a lot of structure to their team, maybe the previous 2 years. So I think not adding another pure bunch sprinter is, I think they missed. And then they're just going to try to keep winning at .pro level. They're going to, with Varenshold in 5-day races, with the TT, with the others. So I don't really see much changing.
I think that's fair. But
they'll just turn up to Romandy with 7 guys that can't do anything if that's what it takes.
Yes, but then Romandy might be an opportunity for Warren Skjold to win a versatile sprint. You know, it's like... But I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that there's going to be races where they will send 8 NPCs.
But so does Alpecin. I mean, that's just the reality. That's what it is.
That's the limitation of not being a mid-level World Tour ready team, which is fine because they've just entered World Tour. The question is, can they improve as a team? Can they sign a top-level Scandinavian rider like Pedersen after 2026 or something like that? Is that a possibility? That is potentially a possibility. Depends on the money they have. Depends on what their following steps are in their 3-year cycle. But I think in the grand scheme of things, the simple goal is stay in World Tour. Full stop.
Yes. I think, stay in World Tour, but also I think they want to keep winning. They just want to repeat what they did in the Tour this year.
And grow year on year.
Yeah. Okay.
So that you're not in that vulnerable World Tour position.
And they have to make themselves attractive, and that's the next step. So that's the last point here is their next step is to attract maybe not where Christoph was in his career, because he was like, let me this will be my final contract, I'll come home and then I'll help the team and then it'll peter out. For me, they need to sign a mid-20s super star. And
Jonas Vingegaard.
Wow, he won't be mid-20s.
That's true.
I guess they did that with Court.
Is there a Scandinavian mid-20s you're a superstar?
So out of contract next year could be Asgren. I think they're going to sign like an early 30s guy who's actually not going to improve.
I expect signing like Pedersen or something in 2 years.
I don't. Mads Pedersen.
In 2-3 years, yeah.
I just
towards
don't
the latter
think
part of his career.
I don't think they have the money.
I think they might have by then.
He signed a lifetime contract.
What do you mean lifetime? I don't know of any lifetime contract of Pedersen. He does. He does have a lifetime contract.
Yeah. So Schelmoser and Pedersen are locked. Like Schelmoser was the obvious one that would have filled a huge gap. I think they're going to sign someone like Søren Kragh Andersen or Asgren.
Yeah, but that does nothing.
I know. I agree with you, but that's what they're going to do. That's what they did with Court.
Yeah, that's useless. That does nothing for their team. Nordhagen is an idea, but good luck getting him out of Visma Leasebike.
I guess
the kind of riders they should be going for.
Schelmoser was the one. Yilmaz was the one. He was giving interviews where he was seemed not happy with them signing Ayuso at Trek. He is a genuine monument podium level rider. He's in the right age bracket, but he probably is extended. Phillipson, they're not going to get. They signed Haugerton, but he's a first year junior.
Is the play getting a cross country biathlon skiing individual mid-20s and create one? I think that's the play.
Or
what's that
maybe
guy?
Ask America to annex Greenland, and then you can sign American riders.
What's that bull guy that is rumored for Uno-X? Cross country ski guy? I don't know.
I don't know.
Johannes Bull? No, that guy is.
Oh,
ancient.
They could sign the runner. The runner. Who's the runner or the triathlete?
Ingebrigtsen.
No. The triathlete that said he was going to win the Tour de France.
Oh, what's his name? Oh, I don't know, man.
Norwegian triathlete. Blumenfeld. Then he learned
they
about.
can sign Magnus Midtbø.
Then he learned about
that
there's mountains in the Tour de France, and then he's like, maybe not.
Yeah. Klæbo.
So you're not bullish on the possible superstars that could be signed in the next 2 years?
I don't really see it in the market right now. I genuinely think they're going to go for a non-cycling top-level athlete and see whether that works Roglic style.
Yeah, because I'm even looking at 2027.
Who's this Johannes Klæbo guy? He's Norwegian. What does he do? Skiing. That's pretty convertible, right?
They all do skiing. They all do skiing. They're Norwegian.
But he's pretty good at skiing.
So are all the fucking riders. I mean, the whole population does skiing. It's Norway. So, when's Soderfist out of contract? Yeah, Soderfist. There you go. When's Albert Philipsen out of contract?
Wait.
2029.
Oh, Klæbo is sponsored by... Wait. In June 2020, Klæbo announced that he had signed a 5-year contract with the uno-x Pro Cycling team. I didn't see him on the road. Torhushoff opens the door. Klæbo could switch to cycling. Oh my God.
He's got really good hair.
Well, that doesn't... Then you need to go to Alpecin.
He does have the Alpecin haircut.
There were actually rumors that this dude could be riding for uno-x. Just saying. First the Olympics, then we'll see. When is the Olympics?
No, he looks like a big dude. They need
Winter Olympics.
I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but trying to transition to be like an actual sprinter or classics rider at 30 years old, I don't think is possible.
What's his body shape?
Big dude. He's a sprint. He's like a cross country sprint guy. He'll be like 6 foot 85 kilos.
So he's basically every uno-x rider ever.
Yes, they're all heavier than you think. They need someone like Nordhagen, who's a skier but is tiny. Or Haugerton.
Can't you just get a child?
They do. They gave Haugerton a 6-year contract. He's a first-year junior, so yeah, they did. I don't know, man. They gotta hope. I think the lack of a development team is a problem.
Yeah. They killed their own development team.
Although, is it a problem if you can just give them guaranteed pro years, but then you got to be pretty sure, but
yes, it's a problem.
Then you can't then you can't get a Svestad Bardseng in.
But also, he's not the solution either, to be clear.
Maybe not.
He's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, but he's 22 and he's a GC rider and he's improving. The thing is, no GC rider is going to come out of the Danish and Norwegian Conti circuit that's the right size. Like what happened with Vingegaard. It's not going to happen, right?
Because are you generalizing that Norwegian and Danish people are not the right size to be GC rider? Is that
no,
what you're
I'm
saying?
that if you are 60 kegs, how the fuck are you going to win Fine Runt against all the 80 kilo dudes?
Is it feasible to pay for the Scandinavian naturalization of a non-Scandinavian rider, Sivakov style?
Yeah, that could be a good option.
So if they make, what's the market like next year? Is there a rider they could naturalize to Norwegian?
Lipovitz is the one, right? Because like he's already got the skiing.
Sounds Norwegian already.
He already got the skiing.
Lipovitsson.
Yeah, Lipovitsson. I think that's the best play.
And he did biathlon too. It's perfect.
Exactly. So I think Vlasov's basically from Scandinavia.
Vlasovson sounds a bit Russian to me.
Well, isn't Vlasov is from Vyborg, which is like
next to Novgorod or whatever?
Next to Finland, I think. Like he's from the border of Finland, which I know isn't. Is Finland Scandinavia?
We are not. I apologize for any attacks on the Scandinavian culture that Patrick is about to do.
It's not Scandinavia. Finland's not Scandinavia. No.
It's Sweden, Scandinavia. It has to be, right?
I mean, but how is it not?
The problem with Sweden is that it has like 3 good cyclists.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Vlasov could be an option. So, but that's not the solution either. Alrighty. That's our uno-x preview. Do you like the fact that there's a team that really steadfastly commits to their core? I actually do like it.
I like it to an extent. I like it for a Conti team, for a pro team. When you start entering WorldTour, that's usually when you hit the limitations. And I believe they'll hit some limitations. They already are when it comes to their transfers. And the question is, can they survive with those limitations in check? And that answer I don't have. That's their challenge for the next 3 years. But we might as well predict about it. Our prediction time at the end of today's podcast. Will uno-x survive in WorldTour for the next 3 years? So will they have a WorldTour license in 4 years?
Oh, I don't know. So Tudor and Q365 are coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they will. They're a very stable organization. I think they will.
And also they seem to be playing the game better.
They know how to farm.
Yeah. They know how to play the game better than some other teams that are fighting for that same World Tour position. So I lean towards yes as well.
Yeah.
But I've got the LRCP predictions of last year here. Obviously, uno-x was not a World Tour team, so we don't have a prediction of World Tour wins for 2025. What do we expect for 2026 in World Tour wins, knowing that they had 3 World Tour victories in 2025?
Yeah, I'll go with 3 again.
I'm leaning to a similar number. I'm also... I'm going with 4. Because if you actually think about it, Magnus Kort should be pretty good at versatile sprints at Romandy and Catalunya and so forth, no?
Yeah.
Like those, he needs to be able to pick up something in World Tour. So that in addition to Weidenskjold doing something in World Tour.
And then one random break.
Yeah, around 2 breaks should be fine across 3 Grand Tours and multiple one. I'm going for 4 World Tour wins for uno-x at the end of 2026.
And it could be more. That would kind of be my floor expectation is 3. So maybe I should have picked more, but I'll go with 3.
You got any hot takes for this team? Difficult, huh?
Hot takes. No, not really. I mean, it's just uno-x, isn't it?
It is. To be honest, Jonas Abrahamsen, he could win more than one Grand Tour stage in
No,
a
I
year.
disagree.
If he
I
sends
think
to 2
Abrahamsen's
Grand
now
Tours.
overhyped.
Overhyped. No, he won a Tour de France stage. That means he can win potentially 2 across 2 Grand Tours. That's not overhyped. That's reality. Most overrated rider in the world, Jonas Abrahamsen. I think there's a realistic chance that they don't top 10 any Grand Tour.
Oh yeah, that's one Johannesson injury away from happening.
Yeah.
I think one of Coulthard or Adne Holter will step up to be like 1,000 UCI points a year rider.
I think that's realistic.
What? I think that's a big step up, but I think they need that, so I think one of them does
1,000 is a lot. You're right.
1,000's a lot, yeah. So, but that's my hot take.
Do I need a hot take? I don't have any for this team.
If you don't have one, you don't have one. You can't force a hot take.
Exactly. A hot take needs to come. It's like an echelon.
Because I could give an excessively negative one, but I don't think actually there is one. I think they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. I also don't see a huge amount of upside either. I think it's kind of just stasis is what I expect. All right. We'll end it here.
I feel similar.
Thanks for listening to the Uno-X preview, and we'll see you with the next one. Ciao, ciao.